these two Goliaths, the two strongest men on earth, they went head to head, pushing each other from start to finish.
This is the event of most controversy.
And so what happened is, in comparison to many other squatters, Mitchell never had to squat as low. Coach Greg, in today's video, controversy at the strongest man on earth competition. And so, spoiler alert, Mitchell Hooper from Canada came first, and Thor the Mountain got second. And in third place, fourth place, fifth place, everyone was so far behind that it really didn't matter. The results of the competition had Thor winning 5 out of 8 events. 5 events out of 8 and setting 2 world records. And so many people were saying, how is it possible that Thor didn't win? Clearly, he must be the strongest man. He had the biggest deadlift, he was setting records. How is it possible that Mitchell Hooper could win when Thor won 5 out of 8 events? And not only that, many people saying that Mitchell Hooper somehow cheated his way to victory. That he wasn't performing full squats, that he wasn't doing the shoulder presses as strictly as some of the other competitors. Now remember, Thor has been around for a long time, and he's oftentimes the crowd favorite. After all, he's been in movies, he's over 400 pounds, and he stands 6'8". He looks like an absolute monster, and so many people cheering for him to win. And so Mitchell Hooper, more so the new kid on the block, not as many people know about this guy, and so they're thinking, how could a smaller guy beat a man as massive as the Mountain? And so in the first event, Mitchell Hooper deadlifts a measly 965 pounds. The Mountain, on the other hand, 991 pounds. And so the Mountain does in fact win, but Mitchell Hooper gets a close second.
He's on another planet right now when it comes to deadlifting, and I'll keep trying to catch him, and he's pushing the standard forward in a lot of movements already, which is a testament to how quick he's come back.
After one event, the Mountain, he's in first place. And remember, in this competition, these two guys are so far ahead of the rest of the competition. It's like comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James. They're both exquisite.
Stop it. Get some help.
And so these two Goliaths, the two strongest men on earth, they went head to head, pushing each other from start to finish.
The second event was the overhead medley, and this was the first sort of quote-unquote controversy at the show.
And so the first controversy at the games began with the overhead medley. 4 men had gone up to lift the weights, and they were not in the proper order. You're supposed to start with the lightest implements and go up to the heaviest, but unfortunately, the wrong, heavier item had been first.
Brian sort of recognized that something could be wrong, and he asked the implement to be weighed, and they mixed up the axles. They put the heavy axle first and the light axle second.
And so the wrong item had put up first, but Brian Shaw said, look, we have to do something about this. The first item was so heavy that many of the competitors were struggling with it. And so normally this wouldn't be the case. And so upon weighing the items, they discovered there was a mistake, and they decided to do the competition over again. Now, obviously, it's not fair to those first 4 competitors who had already had to lift that object. They're clearly tired. But this was the most fair thing that they could do. But remember, this is not affecting Mitchell Hooper, nor is it affecting Thor, the 2 guys who are by far the strongest in the competition.
So I get out there, I hit the first log, no problem. I hit the first axle, no problem. I hit the second log, and the second log felt a bit heavy. I misgrooved it a bit. And in my head, I was sort of going like, shit, this could be a bit of a push.
And so in the shoulder pressing relay, Mitchell Hooper, he takes the win. Shoulder pressing is one of Mitchell's strengths. I personally worked out with Mitchell Hooper. I've also worked out with Thor. These guys are so strong, it doesn't make sense. When you see what they can do, it's hard to imagine that any human being at any size could ever lift the weights that they're lifting. But remember, it has not been that long since Thor had retired from strongman competition and was, in fact, boxing. Do you remember that? And so he lost perhaps 100 pounds, was not training for strongman. He then began his journey to be the strongest man, to break powerlifting records. And if you remember, he in fact tore his pec during a bench press. Now, once you tear a pec, it's going to take you a lot of time to get your strength back. And so in this competition, Thor, his pressing strength, the ability to push an object over his head, it's not at his best. And so let's call that a weakness. And so in the shoulder pressing event, clearly Mitchell Hooper is an added advantage. Not only that, Thor the Mountain, he's 6'8". Imagine how far he has to press that weight. And so for him, it's not going to be easy. He has a lot greater distance to travel from lifting the objects way over his head. He's 6'8". And so in this event, he's losing a lot of points. In the deadlift, brute strength, having to lift the heaviest object, he has the advantage. And so remember, he did in fact win 5 out of the 8 events, but Mitchell Hooper placed near the top in all of them.
That took us into the keg toss, and I was feeling really optimistic about this event, but...
And the next event, the keg toss, who do you think won that? Thor. He's setting records. The guy is a monster. Thor is 6'8". Mitchell Hooper perhaps 6'2", 6'3". And so for shorter guys, not that 6'2" is short, it's going to be a disadvantage. And so in some events, Thor has a major advantage, but in other events, he has a major weakness. Mitchell Hooper being around 6'2", perhaps 6'3", he's basically consistent at everything. If Mitchell were 7 feet tall, he'd be better at some events, but perhaps he'd be weaker in others. And so in the keg toss, Thor finishes in first place, setting a record, but Mitchell Hooper finishing close behind.
First down, easy. I skipped the 500-pound stone. Now, I think something might have been weird with that one.
And so in the stone lift, Thor again places on top. He was able to lift that 550-pound stone for 2 reps. Mitchell Hooper got it 1, almost 2. And so you can see, they are in fact very close neck and neck. In the events where Thor wins, Mitchell Hooper is very close behind. But when Mitchell Hooper wins, for example, in shoulder pressing events, Thor doesn't finish very close behind. And so that lies the difference.
This is the squat lift, and this is the event of most controversy.
And up next, the most controversial event of the weekend, and that is the squat lift. And so what happened is, in comparison to many other squatters, Mitchell never had to squat as low. But remember, they measured the distance that the bar was traveling before the competition. Mitchell is just playing by the rules. And so when Mitchell squats, especially when the squat bar is heavy, he tends to lean more far forward. And so although his hips are not going as low, when he squats down, his back is leaning farther forward. And so the bar had a predetermined distance it had to travel. Mitchell is just playing by the rules. He squats down, the bar literally had to hit a peg and he had to go up. It's not his fault that that is what the rules dictate. Now remember, he won by a mile. He did 10 reps. Second place was 5 reps. Thor got 3. And so let's say he did in fact have to squat several inches lower. He still would have won. And even if he hadn't have gotten any squats, of which the guy is an animal, he's very strong in the squats, he still would have won the competition. So no matter how you look at this, even if he hadn't have won, even if he hadn't gotten the top 5, the guy still would have won regardless of the squats. And so how can you say, oh, he won because he cheated in the squats? It makes no sense. He's literally playing by the rules and he's going by what the referees tell him to do. And so don't hate the player, hate the game. He's playing by the rules, he knows how many points he's going to get in each event, and he's doing his best to win the competition. Is that not what you would want to do? When you do a bench press and you complain that the bar doesn't have to go very far, are you not doing the bench press by the rules? When you enter a powerlifting competition and you use a wide grip on the bench press versus someone with a close grip, and one person has to press it a lot further than the other, are you going to get mad at the person that won because they only had to press up the bar 8 inches? If the rules say you can use a wide grip to bench press, you're going to use a wide grip to bench press. It's not cheating, he's playing by the rules.
Now I went to the power medley first, which is another one where Thor would be favored. A very heavy arm over arm, something that he is great at.
And in the next medley event, Mitchell Hooper finishes 2 feet behind Thor. Thor wins, Mitchell Hooper in second. Again, very, very close.
And I ended up in second, only about 2 feet behind Thor.
And so you're noticing a pattern. When Thor wins, he wins by a small margin. But when Mitchell Hooper wins, he wins by a large margin. Hence the disparity in the scores and why Thor never won despite winning 5 out of 8 events.
Going into the dumbbell medley. At this stage of the show, I was exhausted.
And in the dumbbell overhead press, remember they're using one arm, Mitchell Hooper got 3rd while Thor placed 9th. And so you can see, you need to be consistent. If Thor had won none of the events but placed second in all of them, the guy probably would have won. And so in strongman, to be the world's strongest man, you have to be strong at everything. If you just have a strong deadlift, a strong pull, if you can pull a truck really quick, that's great. It's going to help you to get a lot of points. But if you can't press objects above your head and keep up with the other competitors, you're going to be left behind.
That left me with a total of 117 points. Now with 16 competitors and 8 events, that is out of a possible 128 points.
And so Mitchell Hooper wins with the highest points total ever at the Shaw Classic. The maximum score he could get was 128. He finishes with 117, only 11 points away from perfect. Thor then finishes with a score of 108, which is in fact 9 points behind. And so there is a little bit of a gap there. And in third place, 83. That's 25 points behind Thor and 34 points behind Mitchell Hooper.
Now, the judging in this contest was very stringent, but it was very clear.
And so one thing that the fans may not realize is that it's very clear to the athletes the exact rules that they have to follow. Whether it's how to hold or grip onto a bar, when you get disqualified for a certain lift, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. And so the athletes, the competitors, they know exactly what to expect. As a fan, you're watching thinking, well, why didn't they count that? I watched the bar go up. Why didn't they count it? Well, they didn't grip the bar properly. The athletes know that. And so it's not as if they aren't being judged fairly. All the athletes have the same set of judges. And so what more can you ask of them?
This was very clear that we weren't allowed to have our fingers open up. And we got many demonstrations on at what points is it going to be accepted or not accepted.
And so no matter how you look at it in the squat lift, even Brian Shaw himself said it's better to measure yourself staying more upright and in a competition lean forward. If you have a strong lower back, then why not use it? Remember, it's not a powerlifting competition. They're not trying to squat for depth. They're measuring how far did the bar actually move. And so if you don't like the rules of strongman, then go into a powerlifting competition. And so for the fans that perhaps never like the rules, if you don't like the rules, go watch a powerlifting competition. Go watch Olympic lifting. There are tons of strong people in the world, and this is specific to strongmen.
I never thought I could do any of this.
Next year, who is going to be the world's strongest man? As it stands right now, I am betting on Mitchell Hooper, as he is very young and still has more strength that he can gain. While Thor, if he can in fact improve his shoulder pressing, which I do believe he can, he is going to be a tough guy to beat. I believe it's between Thor and the Mountain. I don't believe anyone else is close to these two right now. Who do you think is currently, right now, the strongest man on the planet? Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to like this video if you like it. And if you're looking to increase your strength and stay natural, look no further than Turk Builder as well as GO2 Max. These will help both your cardio, your strength, help you to put on more muscle, help you train harder than last time in the gym. And so if you're looking for the ultimate natural stack, look no further than GO2 Max, Turk Builder, code Greg, 15% off. Don't forget, watch the tube loops, of course, the cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Circle diet book, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. If you got no money, get over to the website, get the free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages. Also join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.